Learn to improve conversions and generate more leads with the video podcast at marketingoptimization.tv.
Hi, and welcome to the Marketing Optimization Podcast with Alex Designs. I'm your host, Alex Harris, and today we're chatting with Ton. He's the CEO of Testing.agency. How you doing, Ton?
I'm doing fine. How are you, Alex?
Excellent. To get started, what would be your definition of optimization, and why is it beneficial?
Well, my definition of optimization is to get more money, more leads, more conversions, better server rates or whatsoever out of your existing audience. So not bringing in more audience, getting in more visitors, it's just getting more out of those people who are already there.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we had a chance to meet in Vegas. I saw you speak, and you just spoke at the Elite Camp as well. And the presentation that you gave was all about Roar. Can you explain what that means and how you go about putting that together?
Yeah, well, we got some people dancing in Estonia, which was a lot of fun. But the basics about Roar stands for risk optimization, automation, and rethink. And it has two levels. And the first level is 1,000 conversions a month. And that's a very big, important lesson. My main message was, if you are below 1,000 conversions a month, don't do A/B testing. So, and conversions, of course, can be sales, can be leads, can be emails, can be whatever you want to convert in. But if you drop below 1,000 conversions a month, first you have to take more risk and grow above 1,000 conversions. Get in more traffic, work on your brand, take some risk, don't be too much data-driven, get out of the office, do or die, stuff like this, more like startup culture. And then if you are above 1,000 conversions a month, then you have to do testing. And what scared me a lot, if I asked the audience, okay guys, who's running more than like 250 A/B tests a year? Like no one raised their hands. And then if I ask, okay, who of you has like more than 10,000 conversions a month? And there were like 20% of the audience were raising their hands. And I was like, okay, you're wasting money. You're leaving money on the table. Because if you have that amount of traffic, which is a lot, you can do optimization by A/B testing, automation by applying bandits. You can do a lot with your data and really grow faster than your competition. So I think the main thing from this talk, from the raw talk, is that don't do optimization, A/B testing too soon. But if you're able to do A/B testing because you have enough traffic and conversion, then you need to scale up and don't leave money on the table. Then it's growth. If you hit something that's a business model, and if you can convince 1,000 people to buy from you or get the email sent to you, then you need to scale up. You got to speed up and make sure the competition doesn't outrank you.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point. And let's go ahead and clarify that, because I know I'm going to get a bunch of emails of questions from people going, "There's no way that I can get 10,000 conversions a month or run 250 tests a year." But that is what we're going to go into detail about, talking about through the rest of the interview. But before we go into that, what you're saying is, if you don't have that many conversions and you have a low amount of traffic, it's not worth testing.
True. It's the same. Look at our own website, Testing.agency. We're a business-to-business service company. We're selling development of A/B tests. If I'm lucky, I get 15 plus conversions a week already. That's not enough to A/B test on. So people always complain if I look at my website. They say, okay, I see some analytics installed, I see some retargeting, some tag management, some survey tools, but there's no A/B testing tool on your website, and you are an A/B testing company. And then I explain, that doesn't make sense to A/B test because we don't have the traffic. And the thing you have to know here is that if you're low on conversions, like let's say you have 100 conversions a week, which is already quite a lot. If you want to run a A/B test for like 3 weeks, you will have 300 conversions. So 150 in the default and 150 in your new creation. With those numbers, you probably have to make an impact of 20% plus uplift in conversion to be able to recognize it based on statistics. Well, the number of times I created an A/B test myself that impacted sales with a 20% plus uplift, well, that happens only like once a year. Most uplifts are like 3 or 4%, which is already a lot if you're working at a bigger company. But even a smaller companies, 3-4% uplifts with one A/B test is a lot of money. So if you only are able to recognize 20% plus uplifts, you probably will have one winner a year. And it doesn't make sense. It will not bring you the energy and the fun of continuous data-driven optimization, because by the time you will find that winner, everyone else will say, "Oh, that was the guy doing A/B testing in the basement of our company. So he got his results." No, it's not working. So based on statistics, and it's even worse if you have this like 300 conversions in 3 weeks. The power level is statistics. The chance of finding a winner, which is a real winner, is pretty low. So you will only have like a 10% chance or 20% chance to even find the winner on statistics. And then a lot of people will say, okay, let's let the test run for like 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, and then I have enough traffic. But then you bump in the problem of cookie deletion. On average, like 10% of the audience drops his cookies in 2 weeks, and it goes bigger week after week. And if those people re-enter your test, they will find themselves ending up in one of the other variation. So 50% will end up in the wrong variation. So if you test for like 3 or 4 months, what always happens, if you look at the graphs in your A/B test tool, at first there's a difference, and then as time goes along, it declines and it becomes 0. That's just because of the fact that both populations are the same in a couple of months. So that's a big issue. So don't test too long, and if you don't have the traffic, don't test.
Yeah, and you go into detail of this about trying to determine how many possible tests that you can run per year. Can you go into detail of how you figure out that number?
Yeah, there are a lot of calculators out there. I can recommend abtestguy.com/calc. I also worked building on that one, so that's a disclaimer in it. But there are many great calculators out there. Just type in A/B test calculator in Google. Most are pretty good. What you want to do is you want to have a calculator where you are able to put in your traffic per week or per month or whatever, put in your conversion rates, and put in the impact you think you will be making with A/B testing, and let's be honest there. So just put in like 3, 4, or 5%, and then you can see how many weeks you will need for one A/B test. And if it's below 3 weeks, you're fine. And if it's like 1 week, then you know for sure, okay, I can run more than one test at once. So you need a calculator, because it has to do with confidence levels. And you want to be sure that the winner has a big chance to be a winner. You want to be able to recognize the winner. But on average, if you come above those 1,000 conversions a month, you can do 20 A/B tests a year. Not if you only have one landing page. You gotta have a website with like 3 or 4 or 5 different templates, like homepage, search listing, product page, detailed, order funnel, or whatsoever. If you have those number of pages, you can run 20 A/B tests a year with 1,000 conversions a month. So if you come above 10,000 conversions a month, you can run 200 plus A/B tests a year. So but that's just a rule of thumb. It differs from every website. Go to the A/B test calculator. I think I even created a short URL for the specific calculator. It's ondi.me/size. If you go there, you can fill out all the stuff. If you don't get it, hit me on Twitter or whatsoever. I'll help you out. It's a very important thing to do. It only is like a 5-minute task, but then you know for sure how many tests you can run on your own website.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's something that I actually go through with my clients. But when we first start, we try to figure out how much traffic, how much conversion to have, and we try to, put a project plan together. This is how many tests we're going to possibly run for you in this cycle by X, and our hypothesis is we're going to increase your conversion by Y, and that's usually part of our proposal. And I don't know if that's how you guys do it when you first start a contract, but
Well, testing the AG is of course just development resources. It's a factory, so we don't do the creative stuff.
Yeah.
Mostly hired by agencies that just need front-end developers to create a test.
Okay.
But this of course, I also started Online Dialogue a couple of years ago, which is a consultancy agency. If you do full service consulting, of course, that's the thing you have to do. Where's the traffic? Where are the conversions? How many conversions? How many tests can we run? What are the most important pages out there, and what is the big question we have to optimize for?
Yeah.
And I think that there's one big issue also there, that I see a lot of testing being done on stuff. If you see the winners, you probably will say, well, that made sense because people typed in whatever on Google and they landed on your homepage or a specific landing page, and the message was completely different than the thing you were promising in your AdWords.
Yeah.
So please fix that stuff first. Don't waste A/B testing time and resources on fixing stuff that makes sense.
Yeah.
And make sure if they have some sort of search intent and some sort of reason why they came to your page, fix that first. If you have usability issues, you can find usability issues through usability testing, to user testing, whatsoever. Fix those too. And then if you really want to know how to motivate, what communication is needed to motivate people to go to the next step or complete their task, then you need A/B testing.
Yeah.
Because that's something you just cannot guess. Usability can be guessed, can be solved. There are examples out there. Search intent can be solved, but how to motivate people to go on with your service or product, that's the thing I think you really should be A/B testing for.
Yeah, and I know you are an expert at this, trying to not only understand from the psychology aspect, as you mentioned, your other company, but looking at analytics and customer experience. Are there specific tools that you're using to gather the qualitative data particularly?
Yeah, I'm always in love with also the screen recordings tools. There are many out there like Inspectlect, Lucky Orange, Hotjar. So many tools came to the marketplace that are so easily capable of doing screen recording, getting heat maps out there of mouse movements, click maps, which makes behavior on a page visually. And that's so much easier to understand because there are not so many people that are able to do web analytics. But even then, to make the translation from web analytics behavioral data to what should I do now, what are the insights, that's a pretty hard job. And to translate that stuff. So I love these heat map tools, screen recordings. We do a lot of entry-exit surveys. Also as an A/B test, like first test will be an entry-exit survey. When people enter the homepage, they will get this pop-up, this lightbox pop-up saying, "Why are you here? What is the reason why you want to, and how did you find us?" Like 1 or 2 or 3 max questions. And when you submit those answers will be injected in the web analytics solution from the client. Can be Google Analytics, can be SiteCatalyst, can be any analytics tool out there. Then the user continues clicking around on the website, and if they leave the website, you have the exit survey saying, okay, you now completed your visit. Were you able to fulfill your task? And they will say yes or no. And how easy was it? Like the customer effort score, like from 1 to 10 or an 8. And also that data is injected into the web analytics solution. So then you can create segments in your web analytics tool saying, okay, all people that were here to find more information about my service or my products. I have people that were able to complete that task and people that were not able to complete that task. What is the difference in behavior? Is it like different sources? Did they came from a different channel? Did they click on different stuff on the website? What's wrong? And the combination of like heat maps, combination of funnels from your analytics, and the combination of entry-exit surveys with analytics, I think that's the thing you have to do to have powerful insights from qualitative and quantitative data, and that will bring you the insights where to start.
Yeah, in your presentation, you go through to try to find the reasons behind the specific customer journey at each different point. You go through the research and planning, the product discovery, the ordering process, product and shipping, the whole entire life cycle. Have you seen some common problems that sites, they all have similar problems? Any specific examples that maybe come to mind?
The fun thing is the biggest problem we always bump into is the business model. You can go optimizing on the current business model, but if it's like already peaked or even wrong, then you should change it. And that's a pretty hard thing to do, of course. But I've seen many companies struggling optimizing conversion rate because the business model was just wrong. So we always love if we are invited to do some business model testing, because that can be done too with A/B testing. But if you go deeper, if your business model is okay and you want to optimize, I think the thing people don't get yet is that the brain has like two parts, system 1, system 2. There are many names for it, but if you go to Daniel Kahneman, it's system 1, system 2. System 1 is your emotional brain. It's fast. It's like if you're browsing the news or watching videos on YouTube, it's fully automated behavior. You don't think, you just click around, and if you look at your watch, it's like, okay, oh my God, another half an hour is gone. That's fully automated behavior. And system 2 is ratio. As soon as like money comes to the website, like, okay, oh, I have to pay now, ratio kicks in and wakes up and will start thinking, okay, what should I do now? So if you look at your website, we always try to create this conversion rate matrices, which is the conversion rate per day, per hour. And in some occasions, like a daily deal website, conversion rate will go up to the end of the day. And if you have a normal hotel booking website, conversion rate will probably be higher in the morning and go down at the end of the day, especially if you're not the cheapest one. So you have to think, you find out, do I have like system 1 behavior people on my website or system 2 behavior? And if it's system 1, do I need ratio? Am I the best offer, the cheapest products? If so, yes, you need ratio. But if you're not, and you have to compete on brand or service levels, then you have to keep system 2 asleep and don't wake system 2 up. And it also can be the other way around. The system 2 is already there because you're selling mortgages or something. That's a pretty hard thing to do. And then maybe you need system 2 to be awake or just get asleep. And I see many optimizations going on out there where people are not, they just don't know who they're optimizing for. So they're trying to get rid of ratio.
All right, so we've gone through the ROAR model. It's abbreviated for risk, optimization, automation, and rethinking. Can you explain that whole rethinking process? Is just basically starting from scratch and trying to think differently?
Yeah, if you go to university and they teach you about businesses, they will teach you about growth, and it starts with explore. When you start a company, you're not going to make any money. But at some point, you hit the jackpot and you start growing and growing and growing. That's the duplication phase. But at some point, growth is declining, and you already have all the customers. And then you want to reinvent yourself. It's like having a new service, a new product, or maybe even start a new company that is going to grow again. We know companies die, services die. We had Alta Vista, it's gone. And there are so many companies out there that are gone. It's just fact. It happens. So you have, before you die, you have to reinvent yourself. So with a raw model, the growth is also, at first you have no conversions, then it goes up. And if it goes up, you have to take risk. And at some point you can start optimization, do A/B testing. And at some point you have so many conversions, you can automate it and start applying bandits. It's still testing, but it's more automated behavior, more personalization, because you have the traffic. And probably you're not able to A/B test, do enough A/B tests to make sure you will not have any regret into not testing on the traffic. And at some point your growth will decline, and then you have to reinvent yourself. And the good thing about if you do A/B testing from a psychological perspective, like system 1, system 2 testing, you're trying to motivate people. Zero conversion optimization, A/B testing will learn you so much about your users and what they want and their behavior. If you go into the reinvent phase and we'll start over again with a new business or new products, you probably are way better in taking risk and to get something new that's going to work. Being a serial entrepreneur, it makes sense because you learn a lot, you know how the thing is working, and you just do it again. So I think conversion optimization is great for short-term optimization, getting in more money. But the biggest earn is in the fact that you will learn so much about user behavior. It will be way more easy to get a new product going again or a new company going again. So that's where you reinvent yourself and start over and do the whole stuff again.
That absolutely makes sense. I think I followed the ROAR model for my career. Basically, as I left corporate and then I've become an entrepreneur. Like, I didn't go to business or marketing school, and I've always hit like these plateaus where I didn't, know what was next, and I had to kind of figure out how to reinvent my business to kind of get to that next level. That absolutely makes sense, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it in their own businesses. As your products grow, as you get new different kinds of services, you're always trying to have to reinvent or rebrand to take your company to that next level.
And that's also why you shift from optimization to automation. If you become really big, you will put more money in automation, but still be optimizing and learning from A/B testing. But once growth is declining, you will shift more money into automated optimization. And if you have that team ready in that successful company, like this, your UX designer, your developer, your psychologist, your analyst, your project lead, that's your optimization team that's able to run 200 A/B tests a year. You will probably take that team, move it out of that company, automate it, make money from it, because growth is already declining. You're not going to learn from it anymore. And you take that team and put it on the new business or the new products to do optimization on that specific products and go on again. And if you can run companies that's fun.
Yeah, that is fun. And there's not many companies out there that can help people run like 250 conversions at a time in a year. Can you explain how a company can adapt to that kind of growth mindset?
Well, the biggest problem, in my opinion, is front-end development. There are a lot of A/B testing tools out there who can do drag-and-drop A/B test creation, which is like headline testing, photo testing. But if you really want to make big steps and have to create an impact of like 5 or 10%, you need a new layout, new visual design, new elements in your page, and then you need a developer. So the biggest issue is development, because development is still an IT resource, and IT is always short on resources. And optimizing the current page, well, that's less important than make sure the shop stays alive. And so most developers will be on IT, not working on A/B testing. Of course, that's why we started testing.agency, to have those resources available for all the people out there that want to do testing. But you also need a psychologist, because if you just run A/B testing with a web analytics guy or girl, with a developer and a designer, you probably will end up in optimizing pages. Maybe if it's a good UXer, you will go optimizing user journeys. But you will still be into more like optimizing usability stuff, button copy, colors, texting, visual design. You need a psychology guy or girl that will explain to you how to motivate, what are the reasons, should you use the self-efficacy technique or some other persuasion technique to get people on. Will it work for this company? Will it work for this product? So the combination should be in analytics, research, UX design, front-end development, and a very good human behavior specialist. And that's a psychologist.
Yeah, that's really where the web is going to be more persuasive in your copywriting and your website design, and bring it all together. You really have to understand human behavior, gather that data, analyze that data, and then create a hypothesis to run more successful tests.
That's the way to go. And just run more tests. If you have the traffic and the conversions, do more testing. Don't have any regret, because testing is bringing money. So if you have more traffic than you're testing on, you're wasting money.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure a lot of people are going to have a bunch of different questions for you, because I know every time I get the chance to talk to you, you're always blowing my mind with all this next level type of stuff. So how can people find out more about you? Maybe you want to tell about the services that your company offers and so forth.
Of course, our company is A/B Testing Resource Services. That's testing.agency. It's a real domain name, testing.agency. Of course, we also have testingagency.com, but the brand is testing.agency. You can hit me on Twitter. I'm Ton W, Ton. Look up my name, Tom Wesseling. Hit me on LinkedIn, whatever, or on Facebook. I'll reply. Some great resources, the A/B test guide, which I mentioned, all sorts of calculators out there. Would love to mention the Wheel of Persuasion from my online dialogue colleague Bart Schuts, which is a great resource of persuasion techniques to use. It's a blog, just read it and absorb the info and use it in your testing stuff. I'm not going to mention any analytics tools or A/B testing. They're all great. All A/B testing tools do the same stuff. They all have the differences. You can all use them to optimize. I don't really care what tool you are using. If it is Adobe Target or Optimize, or you're testing in your Google Tag Manager, which can be done too, that's all fine. Yeah. Just make sure you hypothesize, have something good to test, run as many tests as you can, and if you are short on development resources, go to testing.agency.
Yeah, there you go. To close out, what would you tell optimizers to do to really, take their conversion rates to that next level?
That's always a good question. It's depending on your maturity, of course. Let's split it up. If you're just starting optimizing, the whole ballgame of don't make me think is the way to go. It's not fully true. Sometimes people do have to think. Sometimes friction is a good thing, but like in 80% of the cases, don't make me think. Just get your aunt, go to the userisdrunk.com or whatever, go to user testing, and let people click through your website. If they don't get it, optimize it. That can even be done without A/B testing, but it should be easy. It's a web, especially if you're focusing on mobile, it should be even more easy than on desktop or a tablet application. If you're more mature and you already have done this and it's easy, then just read Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow, and start thinking about System 1 and System 2 behavior. And at what certain time do I have to let people think? Or at what certain time do I have to let people to do some calculations or use some tools to make sure they will make the correct decision? And then you have to deep dive into human behavior and know what is going on. If you're a newspaper, it's fully automated behavior. If you want to sell them something, don't wake them up too brutally. Just go in there step by step. But if you're like this mortgage selling website, System 2 is already so awake, maybe you just have to get them to do more calculations, so System 2 will be asleep a bit more, so System 1 can be convinced to fill out the form and apply for a mortgage. So you gotta know what the user behavior is, and it's out there in your data. But first read Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow, then you will get it, and then look at your data again.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Alex.
Thank you for watching the Marketing Optimization Podcast with Alex Designs. Please remember to subscribe to all of the videos in my YouTube channel. Thank you.